What's up friends, hope you all are doing well today. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Qasim and today I'm going to be comparing the iPhone SE 2nd generation and the iPhone 12 mini for you all. Now these two phones are just 7 months apart from each other, but they are miles apart in terms of the features. So right off the bat, I want to start with battery life. Simply because with compact smartphones, there's always that question, will this phone get me through the day? Now with the iPhone SE, even though it's a little bit bigger than the iPhone 12 mini, you've got a battery capacity of 1,821 milliamps. The iPhone 12 mini, on the other hand, has a battery capacity of 2,227 milliamps. So even though it is smaller in size compared to the iPhone SE, they've still managed to pack in a bigger battery in here. Now with both of these phones, I've been able to manage and make it through the day. But where there is a difference between the two is when you start doing 4K video recording and playing games on the iPhone SE, it gets a little bit trickier to make it through the day. And that's where the bigger size battery inside the 12 mini makes a big difference. Because I've noticed that even if I go out, shoot 4K video a little bit, do a little bit of gaming, I can still manage to get through the day without having to plug in. Whereas on the iPhone SE, that just wasn't possible for me. Now I've actually had a lot of experience with the iPhone SE in terms of recording in 4K and how that affects battery life, simply because all the videos up until iPhone 12s came out, they were all shot with my iPhone SE, except for the iPhone SE review, because for that one, for obvious reasons, I had to use a different phone. So that's why if you fall into that category of someone who's going to be taking more pictures and more video and wanting to game a little bit more, then the iPhone 12 mini can definitely take you a little bit further in the day. Whereas on the iPhone SE, you're just not going to be able to make it. Trust me, I've had so many times where I've just had to plug in simply because I was doing gaming and 4K recording and it's just not possible. Also, do take into account that battery usage really varies from person to person. How you use your phone, how I use my phone, that's really going to be different, the things that you're doing. But for everyday things, you'll be able to make it through the day with both of these phones. But when you get into pushing the phones a little bit more, then the iPhone 12 mini will definitely take you further. Next, I want to talk about the camera on both of these phones. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty details of both cameras, I just want to say that both of them do a really good job with photos and videos equally. Of course, they're going to look better on the mini, and I'll tell you as to why that is. But with that said, don't think that the iPhone SE 2nd generation by any means doesn't take good pictures or good video. Again, like I said, you could go back to any of my older YouTube videos and they were all shot with this phone. So all images, all video have been shot with the iPhone SE. Now with that out of the way, the main difference here is that ultra-wide camera that you get on the iPhone 12 mini. So both of these for the main camera have a 12 megapixel. And they both, like I said, do a great job. But what's different here is that with the 12 mini, you're just able to get those ultra-wide shots. So if that is something of importance to you when taking pictures, then definitely be considering the 12 mini over the iPhone SE 2nd generation. If that doesn't matter to you, then simply ignore it. You'll be just fine with the 12 megapixel camera. Now another key difference between these two cameras is the ability to have night mode on the 12 mini. So all your nighttime shots are just going to perform and look so much better with the 12 mini. So if you are somebody that takes lots of low light shots, then you're going to have better results with the 12 mini simply because the iPhone SE just doesn't have that ability. Now another key difference between the two cameras is the fact that you have the ability to record in Dolby Vision 4K HDR with the iPhone 12 mini. Now for this, I just want to quickly explain to you what HDR is and what Dolby Vision is. HDR stands for high dynamic range. So when you're out there shooting video, it's shooting in a much wider range of colors. So all your whites, all your blacks, all the colors in your video are just going to look so much richer. You're going to be able to preserve a lot more detail when recording video in HDR. Now Dolby Vision is just a format of HDR. So what Dolby Vision does is all that video that's being captured, it's constantly analyzing it, and then it is fine-tuning it for your iPhone 12 mini's display. So anytime you record a video on the 12 mini as opposed to the iPhone SE, you're really going to notice the difference because there's a lot of processing happening with Dolby Vision in the background that you're just going to be able to notice on this display as opposed to the iPhone SE. So honestly, when it comes to the camera, if camera quality and video quality and photos is your top priority while maintaining that compact form factor, then the 12 mini out of both of these phones is definitely the right choice for you. Now I want to move on to the front camera, the one for all your bathroom selfies and just videos of yourself. Now here too, the advantage is going to go to the 12 mini simply because the iPhone SE has a 7 megapixel front camera, and then the iPhone 12 mini has a 12 megapixel. Again, here night mode applies, from Dolby Vision 4K HDR recording applies, so you just don't have these abilities with the iPhone SE. So when you're out there taking nighttime portraits or just shots of yourself, then they're going to look better on the iPhone 12 mini, and same thing goes for the video recording. Now also one more thing to keep in mind in terms of video recording with the 12 mini, you also have the ability to shoot in HD up to 120 frames per second with slow-mo videos. You just don't have that capability with the iPhone SE's front camera. So that is definitely something to keep in mind when considering the two phones. So now that you know everything you need to know about the cameras, I want to move on to the display of both of these devices. Now the iPhone SE has a 4.7-inch LCD display which has a pixel resolution of 326 pixels per inch. The iPhone 12 mini, on the other hand, has a 5.4-inch OLED HDR display which has a pixel resolution of 476 pixels per inch. Now that's a lot of words to take in, but there is a big difference between an LCD and an OLED panel. On an LCD panel, you have a backlit display, so all your pixels are illuminated at once. On an OLED panel, each pixel emits its own light, so therefore the pictures and the colors and the videos, everything is just going to look so much better on an OLED display. And then take into account that it has a higher pixel resolution compared to the LCD display, and there's really no comparison. And one more area where the iPhone 12 mini has an edge is that since it's an HDR display, whenever you are watching HDR content, the display can get to a max brightness of 1200 nits. So when you're on Netflix or watching HDR content through any streaming service, you're going to be able to get better brightness, and all your colors, all your video, all those HDR images, they're just going to look absolutely beautiful. It's really not easy to capture on video how good an HDR display is, but it's just something that you have to experience for yourself. Another thing that's nice about the 12 mini's display is that even though it's shrunk in size compared to the iPhone SE, you've got that edge-to-edge display. It's 5.4 inches, and honestly, when you're watching stuff on here, it feels bigger. It feels bigger than that simply because the whole front of the phone is just filled with the display, as opposed to the iPhone SE where you've got a lot of bezels and edges around the display. This display just shines so much better. This brings me to the size and weight. The height and width of the 12 mini has decreased, whereas the depth is exactly the same as the iPhone SE. Also in terms of weight, the iPhone 12 mini reduces weight from the iPhone SE by 13 grams. So the 12 mini comes in at 135 grams and the iPhone SE comes in at 148 grams. Now this honestly on paper might not even seem like much, but when you actually hold the phone and combine that with the squared off edges, you can definitely feel the weight difference, and this 12 mini is just a much more comfortable phone to hold in the hand. Now real quickly, I want to touch up on the design of both of these phones. So the iPhone SE has that curved design. I really loved it. When I initially got it, I was coming from an iPhone X, and other than the size, there really wasn't that much difference. I knew I was making some compromises, but I was just happy to have a compact smartphone to use that was very much capable like the other ones. But since I've now seen the design of the 12 mini, I've now had it, I've now felt it in my hand, I've used it daily for so many days, I've got to say that I really love the squared off design compared to this curved one. I didn't think before that this was uncomfortable by any means, but having had the 12 mini now, it's if I hold this and then I hold the 12 mini, I'd have to go with the design of the 12 mini every single day because those squared off edges, that reduction in weight, it's just really comfortable in the hand. And I've said it again and again in all my reviews that this new design, I really love it, and I really hope that Apple continues to make phones in this design. Now I want to move on to performance. So the iPhone 12 mini has the A14 chip, the new one for all the iPhone 12s, and the iPhone SE has the A13 chip. Now in my review of the iPhone SE, I had no problems with the performance whatsoever. I could run benchmark tests, and I'm sure that the 12 mini will perform better in the tests, but you guys have to realize that the only reason the A14 lives in this is that you've got so much processing happening when you're out there recording videos in Dolby Vision 4K HDR. You've got so much analyzing going on in the background that you need a processor like the A14 to power the 12 mini. But other than that, if you were to just look at daily tasks on both phones, you're not going to have any performance issues. Whether you want to play games, whether you want to just do everyday stuff like web browsing, watching videos, everything you do on either of these phones, the performance is not going to be an issue. So don't think that just for performance alone, you have to go for the 12 mini because it has a newer chip. It has a newer chip because certain things and features that this phone is performing, it needs that A14. It can't, the iPhone SE just can't do those things with the A13. So last but not least, I want to talk price for both of these devices. Now the 12 mini is going to be starting at $700 and then go up as you increase your storage, whereas the iPhone SE second generation is going to start at $400 and then go up likewise with the storage. I'm not going to break down exactly how much each storage is and all that, but I just want to say, just looking at the base point of both of these phones at 64 gigabytes, if I could afford $700 and if that falls in my budget and a compact smartphone is what I'm after, I would go for the 12 mini day in and day out. Simply because for the first time ever, you're not having to make so many compromises in order to just want a comfortable phone that fits into your pocket, that fits into the palm of your hand, that can easily be operated with one hand. For anyone looking for a compact smartphone, that has always been our issue, right? Is that we always have to give up something to go for that more compact style. Now, what if $700 doesn't fall into my budget? Well, if I only had $400 to spend, I would spend it again and again on the iPhone SE second generation, simply because this phone is so much capable of so many great things. It's a great entry point into the Apple ecosystem, has a great camera, the battery can get you through the day, and you know what, if you already have this or if you are going to buy this, then guess what? Within a year or two, the iPhone 12 mini is going to be even more improved. So you could save the money now and just go for the cheaper $400 compact phone, and then within a couple of years, you can actually upgrade it and get even more features out of something like the 12 mini. Now, one last thing that is probably on your mind is that I didn't even talk about 5G with the 12 mini and how it compares to the LTE on the iPhone SE second generation. To be honest with you all, I've said this again and again, I haven't gotten 5G and I've actually just turned it off on my 12 mini. So I've been using both phones on LTE. So that's why I didn't even bother going into 5G and comparing it with LTE, because if I can't even get it, then there's really no point. And plus, I truly think that 5G isn't something that you should be going after right now. That shouldn't be your main reason for upgrade. So overall, guys, my time with the iPhone SE was awesome. I really loved it. I did a 6 months later review and I had nothing but good things to say about this phone. Now, on the flip side, my time with the iPhone 12 mini has been amazing as well. I love both of these phones in each of their own ways. That's why it's hard for me to say that you should get one over the other. Honestly, wherever your budget falls, either one of these are going to be more than capable of getting good photos, good videos. You'll not going to have any issues and they'll fit into your pocket. They're easily operated with one hand. They're both really, really good phones. But if you said that, Qasim, just pick one phone, which would it be? Day in, day out, it would be the 12 mini. Now, with that said, I really hope that all my comparisons, all my insight, all my information can help you guys in making the right choice. Honestly, like I said before, either of these phones, you'll be really happy. I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below with anything that you'd like to say. And if you aren't already, consider subscribing to the channel. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you all in the next video.